Welcome to NAIFA's Advisor Today podcast series, where we focus on how financial advisors work, live, and give to their local communities and our greater financial services industry. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi, everyone. This is Chris Gandy and our wonderful co-host, Suzanne Carawan. And thank you for joining us for Advisors Today podcast. We have a wonderful guest today, Ken Leibow, and Suzanne's going to be in the front seat driving today as she's going to interview Ken and tell us all the wonderful things that NAIFA and Ken are doing specifically around unique strategies and ideas. So Suzanne, would you share with us who's our sponsor for today?
Sure. So actually our sponsor today is coming from the NAIFA's Business Performance Center, where Ken Leibow is one of, he owns InsurTech Express. And if you're not familiar with that site, I'm sure Ken will tell us all about it, but it's such a great resource. And so we're going to delve into a couple of technology topics today. Ken has been partnered with NAIFA. We started working together pre-COVID, Ken. Does that seem right?
Yes,
does anybody remember?
That is correct. Yes.
If anybody remembers pre-COVID. And we instantly all hit it off, and we said, my gosh, we need this guy in our circle because he's such a good resource to go to about technology. And he lives his world really in that fintech space, where a lot of our advisors, they maybe are happily unaware of what's happening over in the fintech world. But Ken helps us to make that bridge between those worlds and then break it down for our members and our advisors about top tools and things that they need to know about. So Ken, thank you very much for joining us today. And we just already know you're coming live to us from North Carolina, right? So you're actually sitting down for once. And prior to this, we were just talking about Ken's travel schedule, and it's up there with you, Mr. Gandy. It is up there. So there's a lot of travel. Everybody's back to it. So Ken,
thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah. Do you want to start actually? So where we first kind of connected in with Ken, and just so everybody knows what a go-to resource, he is like Mr. LinkedIn, right? He is like, so how many LinkedIn connections do you now have, Ken?
Well, the max that they allow you is 30,000, but followers, you can have more than that. So I have well over 30,000 followers, but 30,000 connections, and they're all organic. People have said, Ken, how can you get it? And I've been in the life insurance space for 36 years. I think I've been a LinkedIn member since 2013. So if you want to spend the next 10 years going to all these industry conferences and trying to get, building up relationships and building up a network, that's doing it the hard way, but it's organic. So that's why it sticks. So
how much time do you spend on LinkedIn, I guess, a week?
Well, me and my marketing team, because we have we do a lot of marketing for our technology partners. I don't know. It's how many hours do we spend a day? I mean, I spend at least a couple of hours a day minimum. And I know my marketing team is, we're meeting, and then they're doing some posts. I'm doing some posts. We're answering messaging questions and things like that, going back and forth. It's quite extensive. Out of all the social media, that's the one we spend the most time on.
And any advice there just for advisors listening on LinkedIn as a whole? Because the big thing is like compliance doesn't allow, or people still very new to social media.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to follow the rules around your compliance and company policies. And there's a difference between having a personal LinkedIn and a business, even though it's all typically B2B. But I think it's very important to engage. It's not about advertising and doing a commercial. It's providing good information that people can get value out of. And it's good to tag people that are relevant to it. Don't tag people that aren't relevant, because they won't be happy about that. And also to use certain hashtags so you can kind of build a forum or a community around certain topics, and then engaging with what other people are posting. And staying engaged is very important in providing value out there and good information to educate and help people. So
speaking of value, one of the top things that you do is you're really looking at that technology tool space, right? And so
yes,
let's talk about what is happening out there right now, give some advice on what tools that advisors should get in front of them, right? The issues in 2023, maybe they've been skittish, maybe they're not using stuff. What are you seeing out there that's really making a difference in advisors' businesses?
Yeah, so I like to put it in three categories. One is a point of sales tool that would really help engage with your customer and visually explain the product, the problem you're trying to solve with the insurance as the solution. The other is your back office tools for your running your practice, day to day. And then the third one is connecting up through a hierarchy or an IMO or a brokerage agency or whatever that has technology that they offer to you to help your practice. So having that kind of partnership. So I think those are the three categories that are important. What we try to do is when we look at consumer for an advisor to engage with the consumer, we like to look for tools that you can that are in many cases are carrier agnostic. So regardless of who you're writing business with, who you quote, the idea is that there's a presentation layer that can really help educate the consumer about the product that you're trying to sell them, right? And so on our website we have three different categories. We have Annuities Genius on the annuity side. We have one protection which is for disability income, protecting income. And then for more advanced type permanent sales, Index UL, there's a new startup called Lisa, which is life insurance analytics strategy, which really helps you to come up with different strategies using Index UL. And it's kind of a different approach. And all three provide free trials, so you can try the software without making any financial commitment. And there's videos that educate you on how it works and what the value propositions are. And they're all available on my website, InsurTechExpress.com. So, but yeah, those are the types of things on the sales side. On the back office side, I think CRMs, marketing tools are very important. And if you don't mind me saying, there's a now AI technology. I know you hear a lot about ChatGPT, but there's now AI technology for selling, because what happens when you do get a lead, regardless of where it came in, you did a marketing campaign on Facebook or incoming calls or email campaign, whatever you got the lead from. The important thing is, how do you maximize that lead, especially if you bought a big block of leads that you've invested money in. And some of them I know are qualified and warm and cold. I know there's all different types of models and prices out there, but to maximize those leads and try to turn them into client meetings and sales opportunities, there's AI technology out there that can do all of that for you. ATS Global is one with a product called Conversica. And so it really engages with these prospects. They think they're talking to a real person, and it knows, and it tries to get them to really say, okay, yeah, let's have a meeting, type of thing. So I think that's important on the back office side.
Can you break that down a little further? Like, how does that actually work? So you're saying okay, I just bought a block of leads, and now what? I'm going to so there's some AI magic here it's actually there's two kinds of AI solutions. Another one is so I can answer your question. One is a company called InsurWare, which is very insurance targeted. Okay, but that really, instead of buying leads, that's looking at your block of consumers and let's say a client went online and they applied for a mortgage, right? Well, they may need more insurance, or they register for baby shower, baby type thing, registry, and so therefore they had a life event, and therefore they may need more insurance. So there's that type of AI that looks at the activity of your current client base, and then there's the one about buying leads, which is generic. I don't care what type of industry you're in, and that's what this Conversica does. Which basically you buy the leads, okay, and let's say you were going to do an email campaign.
All right. So the campaign goes out, and then what it does is it intelligently tries to follow up, and based on a response that they get, it knows to direct them into a certain direction and really get them interested. Okay. So imagine you bought even 100 leads. Okay. Do you really have the manpower to, okay, you did a campaign using HubSpot or whatever your marketing tool is. Okay. Salesforce or whatever. But then how do you follow up with all those people, or how do you really get them engaged? Because it went out and some people might have responded back. Okay. And so it's intelligent and knows what kind of response it is. And then from there, it keeps trying to get them until they can schedule, and then they can actually schedule the appointment. Okay. And it does all of that. So it's almost like having a staff that's saying, okay, this prospect says, yeah, maybe I'm interested. Send me more information, or maybe not really, and then it knows what questions to ask. It knows how to get them interested or enticed into it. And so it's like having a team of people that are sales experts, but it's just the software doing it all automatically. And they think they're engaging with the real person. It's that advanced and powerful.
Well, I know we've seen a lot of trends lately of a lot of advisors also looking for, offshore kind of virtual assistants and things like that. But what's your estimation of how would this kind of match up in comparison? Is this price wise or time wise, accuracy wise?
Yeah. So price wise, it's not the least expensive solution, but they do have a what they call a CBA, or cost benefit analysis, where if you bought X amount of leads, what percentage are you going to get where you're going to be able to actually set up a meeting type thing. So they justify the price. Okay.
Yep.
And I would say that it's got the more volume that you're throwing into it, the more value you get back from your investment. So it's not the least. So a lot of those offshore virtual assistants are going to be much cheaper than the Conversica one. However, as far as effectiveness, I would definitely say that this would be better if you're buying large blocks of leads. If you're heavily marketing, then definitely you're going to maximize your investment on those leads and get return on investing into this AI tool.
That's incredible. I think probably a lot of our loyal listeners, probably their minds are already blown. That you can do all this, and then right. And I think they're already thinking how does that work? And what's the next step? Right. And all of that, but it does free up your time so you can actually get to those meaningful relationships, right? Where that AI can't do what humans can do. Yeah.
Right. Ken, let me ask you a question as an advisor.
Sure.
You're saying it's not the tyranny. I always hear advisors talk about the tyranny of the or, right? And that's I have to do this, or I have to do this. I like the complexity of saying and. I think with this type of tool, this is how you could potentially scale your business by doing this and doing the traditional prospecting that we're so used to doing. See, I think advisors, unfortunately.
I would 1,000% agree. I think you're right on about that. It's not an or, it's absolutely an and. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. We're advisors, right? And advisors always look for reasons not to do the hard things, right? And so they'll say, oh, okay, well, I don't have to do that hard one anymore because this one makes it easier. Well, it's not the or, it's the and. So thanks for bringing that up. That's a great tool.
And let me tell you, since speaking to an advisor, I think the other thing you sit there and you look at the client acquisition costs, and you said, okay, there are hundreds of different types of lead companies out there, and some say, hey, we'll get you a warm lead on the phone and do a transfer, or we'll get you a list or whatever it is, or an age lead that are just pennies on the dollar. But you say, hey, I can't believe I spent all this money on these leads. I did a marketing campaign and I almost got nothing out of it. And then you feel deflated, frustrated. But it's not really true. It's not that you got some bad leads. Everyone said, I got a list of bad leads. No, it's the execution of following up on those leads. And that's where this AI solves that problem for you.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I wonder how many, like, you have a sense, I mean, Ken, maybe we should back up for a second and talk about how much, while you're a technologist, you spend you said you've been in life insurance and insurance for decades, but you spend so much time talking to advisors. So are you finding them resistant? Like, is this brand new? How are you getting people to say, like, because I think a lot of advisors I know that are our members go like, that's got to be somebody else. Like, I don't have time to, you know what I mean? Like, I need to outsource that to someone. And so you're trying to kind of provide that sage advice as to what makes sense for their business.
Yeah. And I find that there's a mix because, generationally, there's a mix of response to using technology, like I said, either in your back office or, again, to try to generate sales tools and marketing and things like that. And so I would find that somebody of my generation, because I'm obviously from the older generation, will see that they're more hesitant because they're like, okay, I'm going to spend these kind of dollars. What kind of result am I going to get? But yet they don't want to make the commitment to have a formula for success. So it doesn't work for them. And then they immediately back out, or they're very hesitant to get into it right away. Where somebody of a younger generation is already used to that kind of world, technology world, online world, et cetera, and social media world. Therefore, they they have more of an appetite for it. And they're like, okay, what do I need to do to make this work, and show me what it does and all this kind of stuff. And they're enthused about it. Mm-hmm. Versus saying instead of being skittish about it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It does make sense. Yeah.
Ken, you brought up something that I always talk about specifically on this podcast is the difference between an interest and a commitment. Mm-hmm. Is the younger generation are committed to this as part of their DNA versus the older generation would say that this is an interest and what kind of results can I get right away? And they don't see the results right away, so they lose their commitment because it's inconvenient. So I think
that's exactly what happens time and time again. Yep. You're so right about that. Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing is, and I think it's the and I've been in technology for decades too, and bringing that idea, and it's the hard part is that people keep saying, well, when do I get to stop investing, right? And the answer in technology is never. Right. Like, I mean, you keep upgrading your phone, right? I mean, there are those people out there still maybe on their flip phone and they're just holding fast, but it's the same thing. It's like, it's a new model of just doing business. Every year, you've got to put so much set aside for the marketing, for the technology, for all of that. And I think that is for different advisors, that is like a very bitter pill to swallow. Because as a marketer, they're like, they want to spend $1,000 and say, what do I get out of the $1,000, right? And if it didn't work, and if I don't get like a 10x return, it's terrible. And it's the same thing with technology. They really dip the toe in oftentimes, and they don't commit to being a continuous investment, right? And now that so much of software really is SaaS model and it's subscription based, right? I think the overall consumer population is used to now more of subscription models, right? You can have a subscription model for everything now. Was just your TV or your Wi-Fi, but I mean, everything has gone to subscription model, everything, right? I just got my dog at doggy daycare has a subscription model for spa services with the dog, right? So like a subscription model, pay one fee, right? They just automatically groom them and they just get billed. So everything is a subscription model. And I think that this is finally gotten to the financial services space, which
absolutely, that's absolutely true.
Which tends to be a little behind, right? It tends to be behind. It lags on the technology side. So I think it's there. Do you do any work there, Ken, where like you're talking to advisors with their practice and kind of advising them, what kind of spend or what it looks like, or how would they get that kind of audit?
Yeah, I think that the conversation has been more, if an advisor reaches out to me, he's either trying to fish for something general or something more specific, and then we usually say, okay, for this type of solution, and we get very down on, okay, here are your options and here are your costs and here's the value proposition. And I find it, and this is a personal problem that I've completely solved over my career, is that if I'm talking to an advisor and I tell them 20 things that's going to solve their practice, we end up not doing any of them, because it's just like it's too much information to digest. So we need to get very focused on one particular type of solution, provide some options, and then dive down deeper on that. And that seems to be something that they'll, okay, let me research it, let me try it, send me more, that kind of thing. And that seems to be the better engagement. The other way, it's just never goes anywhere.
Too much.
Yeah.
So speaking of too much, let's kind of pivot now, and let's talk about some of the work that you've been doing, some of your new work, and talk to us a little bit about the software that you've been creating and some of the challenges that you're out, some of the problems you're trying to solve with some of your solutions. Because we were talking earlier about this is that world of AI, blockchain, whole thing, and it just sounds like gobbledygook to most, kind of regular Main Street advisors. So
sure,
you break that down for us.
Yeah. So let me. So first of all, our website, which is more of a platform, okay, for carriers, advisors, and distributors, is which is InsurTechExpress.com. Okay, has a lot of free tools on there. And and believe it or not, I know it's just a coincidence, but we just launched something this morning. So I'll tell you about that in 1 second. So here are the things that you can do on our website right now that can help advisors. That's developed by my company. One is we aggregate all the carrier portals. So especially if you're in that independent brokerage space, and you're going to log into Prudential's website, Agent Portal, and Lincoln Financial, even though you may go to your BGA's website and get a lot of stuff, but if you're trying to get things from particular carriers that you're already contracted with and stuff, instead of bookmarking, all these, you just go to one place, and InsurTechExpress.com, click carrier portals, and you got access to all of them. Your browser usually remembers your credentials. You log in, and you can hit all your different carriers you do business with in one place. So we've had that out there for a long time. Another thing is we have this underwriting benchmarking tool for life insurance. And what we did was in November of last year, we partnered with the Life Distribution Technology Committee, and we built, which is free again for the industry, this underwriting benchmarking tool. By the way, we won the LIDMA Innovation Award for developing this back in October. Okay. Which has all the top 28 tier 1 carriers underwriting programs. So accelerated underwriting, simplified issue, non-med, executive advantage. And so it's got all the information. It's not a field underwriting tool. It's got all the information around the underwriting programs, like average processing time, what underwriting class are available, what insurance products are available, et cetera. And then it's got a search tool. So say, hey, show me an accelerated underwriting program that'll go for a 70-year-old or up to $5 million of coverage, and you can just search for it, and then you can get all the details. And then it even has links to the carrier portal or the e-app, so you can go right in and get more information or submit an application. And that's free to bookmark on your website. A lot of BGAs use it, producers use it. So that's another thing you can get free from our website that we offer. And then we have these self-service demo tools. You mentioned, Sudan, about subscriptions, and you're right, everybody's doing subscriptions. So a lot of these sales tools that we talk about, like Annuities Genius and One Protection for DI, and Lisa, which is for IUL, which is a life insurance analytical tool for IUL. All of them, you can go to our self-service demo page and you can try it out for free. There's anywhere from a week to a 90-day free subscription. And then if you do, then you just can pay month to month with a credit card if you like it, but you're not pressured by anyone to buy it, and you can actually use it and try it. So that's on our website too, as well. And then the thing that we launched today, I just want to mention, is the fact that we have a lot of people in our industry write books, author books, and they sell them on Amazon or whatever. And a lot of them are very sales or industry related or technology, because I also work with people in technology. And I think to support our industry, and since our network is so big, and by the way, you mentioned 30,000 on LinkedIn, Our total digital and social media network is 200,000. Okay, that's our audience in the B2B insurance and technology world. And basically what we launched today was a IE bookshelf. IE stands for my company, InsurTech Express. You can just go to InsurTechBooks.com or just click books on our website. And you can it's free. Send me your book, your Amazon link. We'll take a description, the author, the title, the book cover, and then we'll promote it on social media. And a lot of people, and it's also a great way, not just to sell books, but to get your message out and to engage with other people about all the hard work that goes into writing and publishing. So we're now making that available for the whole industry because it just kind of gets lost. And now we've got a central place for it all. And I know a lot of advisors out there and people that write a lot of really good financial books and things like that. And to talk, and did you want me to talk about the blockchain?
Yeah. And before you get to that, though, I want to highlight that point because, hey, listen, NAIFA members out there who've written a book, Ken's just given you, don't forget what he just said. He said, hey, free offer that he will list that and get you some extra publicity and promotion. So, I mean, Ken, we've got so many people in our midst. We'll start sending that over to you and then we'll push the IE bookshelf too and make that a win.
Carol Golden's book is on my IE bookshelf. You know Carol.
The second book, she has a second one out.
No, I didn't know it came out yet. She was working on it the last time I talked to her.
It is newly released as well. So we will send
I'm going to put that on there too. I sent her an email this morning. I'm just waiting for her to respond. So we'll put her new book and then we'll promote each book. We promote the bookshelf in general because we just launched it today. Yeah. I'm going to be doing a press release on it. But as we add a new book, so so-and-so, like Carol's second book, I'll sit there and do a big promotion on social media and then put the link and it'll be on our bookshelf. And so by the way, we get 1,000 visitors, 1,100 visitors a day to our website. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people will be seeing these books, just organically. And so really, if you wrote a book, then just shoot me an email or contact me and we'll get it set up pretty much right away. So
I know,
and promote it out.
We have a new Kathleen Owings, who's one of our most favorite members. She just wrote a specific book directly for women, and she's going to come join us in Denver in a couple of weeks. So we'll make sure that she gets set up with that.
Please do.
Yeah. Okay. We have quite a bit.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so one of the favorite things I love before we get onto blockchain about your site, I love also you compile all the industry events, and it's like this massive one-stop shopping that just makes it easy for everybody to you're kind of like the who's who, Ken. You're like at the Times Square of the financial services world there.
Yeah, we have a dynamic calendar, but it's not just conferences, but it's podcasts like this. It's live webinars and recorded podcasts and webinars is there. And then some people, it's like we have one BGA that does a series on long-term care. Every month they do a podcast. Angie Hughes of Producers Excel. Okay, mm-hmm. Every month they do a podcast. Mm-hmm. And so we promote the series, and then we'll promote it out there. But at least there's a home for it all in one central place. Like with these books, you can look at industry conferences, you can look at webinars and podcasts and recorded webinars and podcasts.
Yeah, so he's doing a great job for us, Chris. We're happy. Thank you, Ken, for helping us along the way with our podcast. But yeah, okay, so let's go back to the blockchain world.
Hold on, Suzanne. Wait, Ken. We want to make sure our series is up there.
Yeah.
Even the super highlights. Maybe we can make a highlight one and get it over to you. You
should
put
do
it up there.
That would be awesome. That would be, yes, please do send it. I have my marketing team. Gina is our senior director, so we got to get everything to her. I know you guys. So then you guys have her email address, so we get it to her, and she'll get it all set up, and then get you all the links, and then she'll actively promote it on social media.
Okay, that's great. And just Chris, since we're talking about that, so Ken, we have our upcoming congressional conference, which comes up in May. And prior to that, we have our 8th annual DEI symposium. We're doing a whole diversity champion panel this year, right? And so many of those people will be podcast guests, et cetera. But with speaking of that, Stephen Kagawa is one of our past recipients, also has a great book. So
I don't know if you know Vince Vitiello, but he has his diversity book of Diversity for Dollars, 7 steps on how to, so that's on there too. on the bookshelf. So we put it, and so you mentioned
That's a good
diversity,
one.
and
Yeah.
it's a good book. Yeah, it's a really good book to
Vince,
really help.
Vince is just
So,
stepping off he was one of our trustees this past year. So we still stay very close with Vince and we're still doing some work with him. So that's good. See, good. Like-minded
excellent.
people,
Yeah,
good birds of a feather, run together there, flock together.
absolutely.
Right. All right. So let's go with blockchain. So what do you got?
Okay. So I know that people hear blockchain, they think of Bitcoin, and of course there's been some, not good news in with the value of exchange, but a functional blockchain does solve a lot of business cases. And before I get into insurance, let me give an example that most people can relate to. And this is something that happened in early 2022. The Walmart stores in Canada had a huge problem where they have these different trucking carriers or trucking companies that deliver the goods to the Walmart stores. And no exaggeration, I think they were dealing with about 70 different trucking carriers delivering all kinds of goods to the stores. And what happened is that they each have a different contract on, mileage and fuel and all this stuff and distance. And here's what this is the rate you got to pay. And they all had different types of payment systems. Walmart couldn't keep up with it. They had all this manual stuff. Some of it was online, some was manual, and it was just a mess. So what did they do to solve it? So they developed a blockchain, okay? And what that does is it allows the what we call a smart contract, which is, think of a paper contract, but it's digitally in code, that has all these different carrier rules of all the different contracts, okay? And then in each one of these trucks, we have what we call an IoT or Internet of Things device that feeds data to this blockchain through what we call oracles. I'm sorry if I'm using tech terms, but feeds the data of the mileage and the fuel consumption and other things, okay? And then the rules of that contract hit, and two things happen. One is to validate that when they get invoiced that they're being billed correctly, okay? And secondly, because on a blockchain, you have what we call distributed ledger technology, you have a way to pay everybody. But this smart contract validates that they're getting billed and then is able to pay everybody based on that contract. So it's just one system. The data comes in from the trucks, everything gets validated, everybody gets paid. And there's no 70 different ways to do it. And that's without getting into trying to be too technical about a blockchain and breaking down what it does. That's a real business problem that was solved last year using Walmart in Canada. Now, from an insurance perspective, what we've done at my company is that we have designed a commission accounting blockchain, and this happens to be there's a big problem in the independent brokerage space for life and fixed annuities and index and some health products. Is the fact that when the carriers pay their commissions and all these contracts that get set up with all the different agent hierarchies, okay, there is no real validation process. It's a big problem. And what happens is if you take the average life BGA, they can get a commission accounting system in their agency management system, or they buy an independent commission accounting system, and they have to set up all these different contract levels. And each carrier's contracts has a bunch of products on it with different rates, first year renewals and everything. They need all of that just to validate that they get paid correctly, okay? And secondly, a lot of these wholesalers make deals with advisors that says, I'll give you an extra 10 points, on your agents, or an extra 5, extra basis points on annuities that you write, based on certain production. And to track all that and do all that is really very difficult. It's a nightmare, especially on modalized premium being paid. And so what we designed again, leveraging a blockchain was the fact that you would set up the contract once. And the way a blockchain works is there's public blockchains and private blockchains. On private blockchains, only certain people have permission to use the blockchain, right? So here you have your advisors, you have your agencies, and you have your carriers. And so when a contract gets set up on a particular level and you contract an agent, right, everyone has to approve it to make sure that everyone's on the right contract, right? And then when the commissions get paid, first of all, it gets validated before it goes on the blockchain. There's a utility that would run. Then it goes on the blockchain, whereby when you do the reconciliation, the contract is only set up like a smart contract once. The carrier doesn't have to build the contract in their system, and then the agency has to build it on their system. It's already built, and they just run what we call a microservice against it. And so the carrier can use it to make sure, to validate that before the money goes out, that they paid correctly.
Right.
And then when they get paid, the agency can run it from their commission system against this smart contract to say, okay, did I get paid right? And then how much do I need to pay my agent? Right. So this solves all of that. So we've designed it. We got a patent pending on it. We're just seeking investors to build it out. And then everyone would just, again, going back to what you say, would just subscribe to it.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Just subscribe.
So it's a subscription model. And
but
that's
the auditors would love it, right? The auditors would love it. The agencies would love it. Everybody loves it. Okay.
But I want to say one more thing, that this is not just something on paper. We have blockchain in production today. So if anybody is a digital asset enthusiast, if any of your advisors, maybe your younger advisors, you can go to our website, watch an 8-minute video, click become a member, and on your smartphone, you can actually mint your own NFT membership card that was designed by a digital artist. And that will then get you, you'll mint your own NFT, and then it'll get you access to a membership program where you'll get discounts on software, some of the software I'm talking about, and it gets you discounts on conferences, okay, in our digital membership program. And that's all on a blockchain with our own smart contract. It's a public blockchain, but our own smart contract. And you can actually get this real, and we make educational videos too, get real hands-on experience on this Web 3.0 NFT smart contract blockchain technology. It's in production today. We did a big launch in Vegas last year. So aside from all that awesomeness, also, right, you're looking for, hey, if you want to get in early, ground floor, you're wondering how maybe you can be the next gazillionaire, right? Correct. Absolutely. Thank you for the plug.
Yeah, because I mean, being able to solve, I mean, that, now we're talking real supply chain. I mean, being able to solve that all the way down, right? Especially as we all know in this industry, it's that's huge, right? I mean, that's just massively to be able to put all that together with the complexity that is in this financial services world is something that, there's a lot of innovation to happen. So congrats on your innovation award too from LIDMA. That's a huge honor.
Thank you. Yeah,
huge honor. So Chris, I know I still have you, I think, out there.
Yes, you do.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn over to you because it's time for our lightning round.
Lightning round. I wish we could have some sort of like soundtrack or something.
All right, I'll put that on my to-do list.
Graphics.
Yeah, we need
that'd be fantastic, right?
Yep.
Dan, maybe we could help us with a technique that will allow for us to do that. What do you think about that, huh? That'll play on words.
Absolutely.
So, can we do a lightning round? Here's what the lightning round is designed to do. Everybody's seen kind of game shows where it's kind of like, this is a speed round. The whole goal of the speed round is top of your mind. The rule of thumb is we didn't prepare these questions. These are questions that I get in my head, and I'm just like, these would be great questions to ask someone. So with that being said, we're going to ask you some quote unquote techie type questions, okay? So since you've unfolded some tech opportunities today. With that in mind, we'll start off very, very simply. What kind of phone do you have?
I have the new 14 Pro, and I always made the mistake that I bought a lot of new phones, but never bought the Pro, and the Pros have the better camera, and I'm out at events all year long, and I want to take videos and photos. So I don't care what version of an iPhone you have. If you do have an iPhone, always get the Pro if you're big into photography and videos. And that's what I got.
Okay, so that one was the easy one. All right, so here we go. We're going to speed up. First thing that comes to mind, you just tell it to me and we'll keep going, okay? You ready? I got 5 questions for you, 4 or 5. We'll
okay, go for it.
You ready? Your favorite tech movie?
My favorite tech movie, The Matrix.
Oh. The red pill or the blue pill? Got it. Okay. So your favorite tech mentor, who you're like, they're innovative and progressive in the tech space.
Old school, Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
With the black turtleneck Steve Jobs or different Steve Jobs?
I only know one Steve Jobs. I guess the black turtleneck Steve Jobs.
All right. Your favorite technology you use in the insurance and investment business today?
If I say that, then some of their competitors may be upset with me. So,
okay. So say you can say I have a handful. I have a couple.
I have a handful, and
okay.
I don't want to lose any clients over this podcast.
I understand. And then last but not least, if you could go back in history, right, and have a conversation with anyone in history, who would it be and why?
Anyone in history. Oh my God. On the tech side, I would go back to Steve Jobs.
Okay.
And John Lennon, because I like music. So I don't know. I mean, that's
great.
There you go. Those were the two I would love to have a conversation with. You know why I said John Lennon? Because if you give me 1 minute here or 30 seconds, when all the Beatles went to India, which was a big George Harrison thing, they had the guru guy who was there, so John Lennon hired a helicopter because the guy had never been in a helicopter, and he took him up in the helicopter. And when he came back, the rest of the Beatles asked him, "Well, why'd you do that? Why'd you go up in a helicopter?" He said, "Well, I figure I'd give him a ride in a helicopter. He might have slipped me the answer, like the secret of life," which, by the way, he didn't. So,
but actually, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Nope.
Last question is, if you could give advice to anybody starting in the business today, what would it be?
Join NAIFA.
Oh,
Join NAIFA.
What a brown. That's nice. Thank you, Ken.
That would be the lightning in the bottle. The
there
lightning
you go.
In the bottle right
absolutely. There was no hesitation. That was lightning round. Yes.
And I was just going to say, actually having Steve Jobs and John Lennon together, right, at a dinner, that would be like I bet they would get along really well.
Big time. Yes.
Yeah, that could be like innovation galore. Yeah.
So with that being said, Suzanne, you want me to close this out, or you want to close this out today?
Go for it.
Okay, great. Suzanne, do you have anything else before I ask Ken any final or final words? One
last time, what's the website, Ken? Our one-stop shop?
It's InsurTechExpress.com. It doesn't matter. It's insure without the E, but I own both domains, take the same place. So InsurTechExpress.com.
So if you can't spell, don't worry about it. Get you the right spot. All right, Chris, back to you.
Absolutely.
All right. So thanks, Ken, for being here. You're an innovator. You're also a great mind. And thank you for being a part of NAIFA. Thanks to our wonderful co-host and super host, the driver in the front seat today of the bus, Suzanne Kirawan. Applause, applause, applause. Again, she is the best. And so for all of you, mark your calendars. We do have the DEI Symposium coming up. So mark your calendars for Congressional Conference. We look forward to seeing you there. We're really putting together a dynamic program and really look forward to everybody being there, being included, being part of what we're doing, because DEI is the reality of the world in which we live and we serve today. With that in mind, thanks for tuning in to the Advisors Today podcast, where we uplift, support, and educate the modern advisor. And to that end, we advocate for our clients in Main Street America to make not only the world a better place, but also the better place for advisors so they are technology savvy and they can grow their practices. We look forward to seeing you next week, same time, Bat Channel. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. God bless. Have a great day.
Thanks all. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for NAIFA's Advisor Today podcast series. Make sure to subscribe to get future episodes. And if you're interested in coming on the show, let us know.